Hi yogis, and welcome back. I'm Nicole. Thank you for joining me here on the mat. I'm going to do a little prenatal flow. You might want to grab a blanket and 2 pillows. Hit the pause and get these items. If you want that little bit of extra support, I would highly recommend it. Because we're going to start in seated, we'll be here for a little bit. And a blanket under the hips can feel really nice, especially because in pregnancy, the low back doesn't always feel so great. Elevating the hips a little bit will really help you soften into the low back. We want to get started here in an easy, comfortable seat. We're bringing length into the spine. We're finding lift in the chest, making space for the lungs. Baby is going to be taking up some of your leg space, especially in the second and third trimester. So really trying to lengthen in the torso so you can take deep inhales and exhales. We're relaxing the muscles in our face, allowing our shoulders to fall away. All the focus is on those deep breaths. As deep as baby will allow you to take them. If you want to shift your focus from breath and set an intention, like a word or a phrase to come back to, now's the time to do that. If you'd rather spend time focusing on your breath throughout our practice, that works too. Let's stay for just one more round. We'll exhale. And then we'll just take our right ear to our right shoulder. Chin will come across chest. Left ear will go to left shoulder. Some nice slow half rolls. You can pause when ear meets shoulder for a little extra opening. You can right away take chin across chest and roll if you prefer the movement in your neck. Now if you want to add some full circles, look up. You could. If that doesn't feel great in the back of your neck, stick with half. Maybe coming the opposite direction. If you were taking full circles, if you're sticking with half, just keep rolling, maybe even holding. One more circle out. And then inhale your head up tall. Exhale completely. Next inhale, we'll bring hands overhead. We'll take right hand down, and it can come onto your blanket. You can keep right hand very nearby for stability's sake. We're just going to reach left. Again, we're making space now here in our left side lung to take some deep breaths. Rib cage might be feeling a little contracted, especially if you're later in your pregnancy. This gives you a nice opening. Inhale, come up. Left hand comes down. Exhale, right fingers. Again, putting all that space in right side body, right side rib cage. Big inhale. Inhale, come up. And here's what we're going to do. Left hand's going to come to right knee, and right hand's going to come behind. Or you could even take it to the outside of your right hip. In pregnancy, we want to be really careful with our twisting. We don't want to contract our core, which twisting does, and we never want to close off our twist. We want to leave lots of space for baby. All that being said, twists feel amazing in the shoulders and the neck, where so many of us carry tension. So here's what I want you to do. Leave belly facing forward and just bring your head to look over your right shoulder. You should get a nice opening here in the back of the shoulder, and especially in the neck as you look over the right side. And see how we're not twisting the belly at all here? Inhale brings you back up. Right hand now comes to left knee, belly's facing forward. Compensate with that left hand. It doesn't have to go behind you. It could be very near or even on your hip. Inhale, lengthen to your spine. Exhale, release and look over your shoulder. One more inhale, fill. One more exhale, release and look behind for the neck. Inhale your hands overhead. Take your hands to the mat and gently, mindfully take a little tip forward. Your blanket can come out of the way now, unless your knees are at all feeling sore or achy. If you want to put the blanket under your knees, a little extra cushion, that could be lovely. But we're going to spread our hands, and we're going to just take our fingers towards our knees, and we're going to rock back a little bit. A gentle wrist opening. I like to play with bringing the tops of my hands to the mat. Just a little blood flow in the wrists. So if you spent a lot of time with right, head to the left, even things out, and then bring your wrists facing forward. A little bit of softness in the elbows. We never want to be hyperextended. We're going to inhale, lift our chest up. We'd also lift our hips up too and put a little dip in our low back. But if you want to keep these cows a little shallower and play with just making space in the chest and the lungs, by all means. The exhale rounding though, like you're hugging baby into you. Can be just a hair deeper, might feel excellent in the backs of the shoulders. Inhale, a shallow little lift up. Exhaling, arch, giving baby a hug. Inhale, lift. Exhale, arch. Let's take one more round. And head to neutral. So with fingers still spread, I want you to take your right toes back, keep the ball of your foot on the mat, and take a little press through your right heel. So we're opening up our calves, great for pregnant practitioners who might be experiencing a little restless leg, kind of common in pregnancy. But we're also activating our transverse abdominals, which is what we're going to want to use during the childbirth process. So a good thing to kind of tap into. Depending on where you're at and your comfort level, you could even float your toes if it doesn't feel like too much strain in your core, really activating those transverse abdominals. And then we'll bring right foot down, and we'll bring our right knee in. So the same thing, left foot goes back, we're pressing, waking up the calf. Take a little float, if you'd like. If you want to keep your foot right here on the mat, if floating does not feel so good for you, if your balance just isn't there, your center of gravity's changing, don't worry about it. Left toes down, tuck the knee in. I always like to rinse things out with a cat and cow. And then head back to neutral. So downward facing dogs can be a little controversial in prenatal yoga. I still like to have my students curl their toes, lift up their seat to come through a downward facing dog if that blanket gets out of the way. But I have them walk right away to their hands to a sort of wide-legged fold, making lots of space here for the baby. Knees are nice and soft. Then we'll come up to our standing position, Tadasana, or mountain pose. Give your shoulders a couple shrugs back into space. Inhale, lift up your chest. We're going to come into our warrior one. We'll start here taking right leg back. So ground into your left, notice the connection points in heel and ball, and step your right foot back. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to plant our pinky edge so our right toes are angling towards the top right corner of our mat. Our knees on top of our ankle in front and alternate face, so you can see how this looks from the side. Now sometimes we talk about aligning our heels, but as the hips are kind of making space for baby, maybe you'll find a wider stance where your feet are actually on separate train tracks works better. You can decide how good it feels to bring right hip forward, left back, maybe backing off if you're experiencing any low back pain. We'll soften shoulders away from ears. And take your hands to the low back here. Interlace your fingers. Draw your knuckles towards the mat. We don't want to stretch the front of the core, but we do want to inhale, lift our chest up, bring our shoulder blades together. Once again, making a lot of space in the lungs. Release the hold. Pick up your right heel, being very mindful of your balance. Spin your right toes to the front. We're going to stretch out the front right hip flexor in this very high lunge. If you need to step your right toes back a little bit for a deeper stretch, you could. Hands come up, shoulders relax. We're going to open up the front, the insides, and the backs of our hips by the time this is all done, since pregnancy is so hard on the hips. Speaking of hips, bring your hands there and really mindfully bring your right leg in. No tipping. So steady on the right foot, grow some roots through heel and ball, and then step left back. So now we're sinking into our right knee, stacking it over our ankle, Our left toes are angling towards the top left corner of the mat. And we're playing with our hips. It can be controversial to say take your right hip back and your left forward. That doesn't work for every set of knees and every low back out there. But you can play within reason to give yourself a nice low back stretch if that hasn't been feeling too great these days. Shoulders relax away from ears. Deep breaths. A moment to focus here on intention. And then hands behind. Fingers are interlaced. We're dropping knuckles towards the mat, drawing our shoulder blades together, making so much space in the front of our chest for breath. Big inhale. Sighing out, what could you release on the exhale? Pick up your left heel. Spin your left toes to the front. If you need to wiggle that foot back and get a little deeper for the bigger left hip flexor stretch, by all means. But you should feel safe, comfortable, and steady. Right knee on top of the right ankle. Let's bring hands overhead. Inhaling air into left side hip. And exhaling to release any tension. Hands to the hips, steady base. We'll walk or maybe even drag our left toes in, being mindful here. Let's inhale, sweep up. Exhale, have a seat in the chair. Shoulders are soft. Weight is in heels, toes could flutter up. Inhale, fill. Exhale, just a little deeper yet. And then come on out. All right. Make your way to seated. Grab that blanket one more time. Blanket under seat. We're kind of tipping our pelvis forward. We'll take soles together. So we got our hip flexors in that high lunge. Now we'll open up the insides of our hips. No blocks, no problem. Remember, we grabbed 2 pillows. If you want support under your knees, use those pillows. And if you don't, no worries. You could always walk heels a little further away. But we are going to inhale up and exhale, nice big hinge forward. Inhale, fill. What could you let go of when you exhale? Could you inhale and make a deeper connection with any intention you may have set? Inhale, come up. Guide the knees together. You might have to take the legs out a little longer, making space for baby. Hands come behind. And find some release. All right. I want you to take both those pillows, stack them up. And for good measure, I want you to take the blanket underneath them. That's all going to come to your low back. As promised, the backs of the hips, sciatic pain, really common in pregnancy. So what we're going to do, take the right ankle, place it on the left knee. I'll turn it face so you have a better view of what I'm doing. And then your hands are going to come behind you as you bend into your left knee. Now you're only going to be able to go so far, especially depending on how far you are along. That's why I brought these props behind us. We can put our elbows on the props, go a little deeper to open up right side hip. We never want to lay down completely because we risk cutting off circulation to our uterus. So this should do it. Sort of like our reclined pigeon, just from a seat. A moment to relax and soften. To exhale any tension out of the hips. Taking a moment to make a connection with baby. Babies have a tendency to fall asleep in yoga classes. All that movement sort of lulls them. As baby's still sleeping, as baby started to stir. Take your palms, press them into your blocks, no using the belly. Take left leg long, uncross right, that wide windshield wiper to release, leaving space for belly. Extend right leg, left ankle drops on top. We're going to bend, and to make sure we're making space for the belly, maybe taking our elbows to these blankets, but still getting that deep stretch so we can tap into the left back hip. Focusing on breath. Maybe spending a few moments connecting with baby. Or maybe taking these moments for yourself when so much emphasis is put on baby and not you. Extend your right leg out. Use the hands, not the belly, to sit up tall, keeping knees bent, releasing windshield wipers. And then we'll start to head into Savasana. Now usually I'd put people on a ramp with a bolster, but since not everyone has a bolster at home, we'll take Savasana on our sides. I highly recommend a pillow between the knees. Depending on where you're at, you might want another one here on your belly for support. If belly feels supported, maybe you want to bring it under your head. Inhaling deeply. Exhaling to turn off every muscle in the body. Feeling the toes, the feet, the ankles relax. The hips a little more open, the shoulders softer. Eyes heavy. A little check-in with baby, awake or asleep. And then tuning out completely, just practicing being present in the moment. And our next inhale, let's take left hand to the mat and start to press up using only the arms. You can get rid of the pillow, find some length in your spine, and I will say, as always, thank you for sharing your practice with me. Namaste.